A student has this question about probability from the Exam 3 Prep in Statistics. The probability that a region prone to hurricanes will be hit by a hurricane in any single year is 1/10. What is the probability of a hurricane at least once in the next 5 years? Well, the first thing that we notice is the importance of these words, at least once. When those exact words appear, something important has to be understood, and that is this rule. Probability at least once equals 1 minus the probability of none. That's a rule that you should memorize along with the general addition rule, the general multiplication rule, all the other rules of probability. You should memorize that one. Okay, so this is an at least once question, and the question is, what's the probability of a hurricane at least once in the next 5 years? Well, that's the 1 minus the probability of no hurricane in the next 5 years, which is 1 minus probability of no hurricane in the first year. Okay, no hurricane in the first year, and no hurricane in the second year, and no hurricane in the third year, and no hurricane in the fourth year, and no hurricane in the fifth year. They don't say whether the occurrence of hurricanes year to year is independent. That is, whether the occurrence of a hurricane in one year affects the probability of a hurricane the next year. I take those events as independent, so we can say 1 minus, and because they're independent, we're using a multiplication rule because of the and. The appearance of the word and always means that we're using a multiplication rule. So we're going to be multiplying these simple probabilities, big word there, and these simple probabilities. So this is probability no hurricane in the first year, no hurricane first year, times the probability of no hurricane in the second year times the probability of no hurricane in the third year times the probability of no hurricane in the fourth year times the probability of no hurricane in the fifth year. Which is 1 minus. Now we have to use a 1 minus just for these simple probabilities, which, what's the probability of no hurricane? Well, it's 1 minus the probability of hurricane. What's the probability of hurricane? 1/10. So the probability of no hurricane is 9/10. And so we've got 5 factors of 9/10 here. 9/10, 9/10, 9/10. You could raise it to the 5th power, that'd be just as good. So this is 1 minus, let's see, the 5th power of 9. 729 times 9. I'm going to leave this in this form. So 1 minus, we're going to multiply fractions by multiplying across. So 9 to the 5th over 10 to the 5th, which is of course 100,000. A 1 with 5 zeros after it. And then we all have to combine these fractions. But I'm going to leave that arithmetic to you. This is how we calculate the probability of hurricane in the next 5 years. Now, I think, even though I wasn't really ready with a calculator, I'm going to go to the calculator on my phone and approximate that just to get a sense of what this number is. This number really should not be, it shouldn't be a great probability, shouldn't be a really small probability. That's an event that we can, think of as, we wouldn't be surprised if there were a hurricane. We wouldn't be surprised if there were not a hurricane in the next 5 years. 1 minus 9 raised to the 5th power divided by, I gotta get my order of operations right. Okay, so 9 raised to the 5th raised to the 5th. Well, I can get this number. I'll do the rest by hand. 59,049. Okay, fine. 1 minus 59,049 divided by 100,000. We can think of the 1 as having that same denominator. So we can think of that as 100,000 over 100,000 just to add the fractions. And then if we do the subtraction, 100,000 minus 59,049 over 100,000, which is 40,951 over 100,000. Now this is a number a little bit less than 1/2, so it's a little bit unlikely that there will be a hurricane, at least one, in the next 5 years. Probably is not going to happen, but we wouldn't be surprised if it did.